Star Trek: 10 Greatest Enemies of the Federation. Ranked throughout Star Trek's long history, the United Federation of Planets has faced terrifying and powerful enemies. Captain James T. Kirk William Shatner and his USS Enterprise crew encountered numerous alien enemies throughout their voyages, but some proved to be more malevolent than others. While many villains from Star Trek, the original series, only appeared in one episode, others, like the Klingons and the Romulans, became staples of the franchise. Although the Federation managed to achieve peace with some former enemies, others continue to threaten humanity's way of life. Whether under the command of Captain Kirk, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, or others, every version of the Starship Enterprise often ends up on the front lines, facing the Federation's most formidable enemies. Sometimes this leaves the Enterprise and its crew as the only thing standing in the way of a devastating Federation takeover. The USS Discovery faces a similar problem in the far future of Star Trek Discovery, as its spore drive propulsion system, making it one of the Federation's most important ships. Whether they had a grudge or simply wanted what the Federation had, these enemies were powerful enough to threaten the entire United Federation of Planets. The Emerald Chain developed sometime in the late 31st century after the burn devastated Starfleet in the Federation, a capitalist syndicate of Orions and Andorians. The Emerald Chain was led by an Orion woman named Osira Janet Kidder. In the power vacuum caused by the burn, the chain rapidly gained supremacy in many parts of the galaxy, initiating first contacts without following any of the Federation's protocols and taking over numerous planets. By 3189, over 50 star systems had been overtaken by the Emerald Chain, and the Federation did not have enough ships to intercede. Minister Osira held the USS Discovery's crew hostage, forcing Admiral Charles Vance, Oded Fair, to meet her for negotiations. Vance ultimately rejected her offer, and the Emerald Chain later splintered after Osira's death. In normal circumstances, the Federation would have been able to easily combat the Emerald Chain, but with so many of Starfleet's ships destroyed in the burn, the Emerald Chain posed a very real threat to the Federation. In Star Trek Discovery Season 4, the Federation faced a galactic threat in the form of the Dark Matter Anomaly, or DMA. The DMA appeared in 3190 as a massive gravity well that consumed everything in its path. Starfleet and the USS Discovery began studying the DMA, but were unable to prevent it from destroying Quagian and its moon. The creators of the DMA became known as Species 10C, and Discovery set out to initiate first contact with the strange species beyond the galactic barrier. Captain Michael Burnham Sonequa Martin Green and her crew discovered that Species 10C used the DMA to mine boronite and were completely unaware of the destruction they were causing. After Discovery's crew found a way to communicate with Species 10C, the aliens agreed to stop using constructs like the Dark Matter Anomaly. Although the conflict with Species 10C turned out to be a massive misunderstanding, the DMA destroyed an entire planet and its civilization, making them formidable, albeit temporary, enemies of the Federation. Not much was known about the Breen in Star Trek's 24th century, but they were warlike and extremely aggressive toward anyone who entered their territory. The Breen allied with the Dominion during the Dominion War and launched one of the most devastating attacks against Earth, causing massive damage to San Francisco and Starfleet headquarters. The Breen continued to deal blows against the Federation during the Dominion War, and they remained enemies of the Federation for centuries to come. The United Federation of Planets, the heart of the Star Trek universe, stands as a beacon of peace, unity, and exploration. However, throughout its storied history, the Federation has faced formidable enemies, each posing unique threats to its ideals and existence. These adversaries have tested the resolve of Starfleet and its crews, from the USS Enterprise to Voyager, leaving indelible marks on the Federation's journey. Here's a ranking of the 10 greatest enemies the Federation has faced. 10. The Xindi. The Xindi's attack on Earth during the events of Star Trek Enterprise marked one of the most direct and deadly assaults on humanity. With a devastating weapon, they destroyed 7 million lives, nearly eradicating Earth in the process. Although their actions were later revealed to be a misguided attempt to prevent their own extinction, the Xindi demonstrated how far fear could drive a species to violence. Their complex backstory and eventual alliance with the Federation adds layers to their status as enemies, making them dangerous but redeemable. 9. The Son of the Sunna, introduced in Star Trek Insurrection, are a race whose ambitions were driven by greed and a desperate quest for immortality. Once part of the peaceful Baku, they were exiled after attempting to dominate their own people. Aligning with the Federation's corrupt Admiral Doherty, the Sunna sought to harvest the metaphasic radiation of the Baku planet, putting billions of lives at risk. Though not as powerful as other enemies, their willingness to exploit advanced technology and commit genocide makes them dangerous foes. 8. The Breen. The Breen are one of the most mysterious and feared enemies in the Star Trek universe, especially during the Dominion War. Their frosty homeworld and unique physiology made them enigmatic, while their advanced energy-dampening weaponry put Starfleet on the defensive. As new allies of the Dominion, the Breen launched a devastating attack on Earth, the capital of the Federation, showing they were capable of striking fear into even the most secure of systems. The Breen's hidden agendas and military strength make them a notable enemy. 7. The Kazon. The Kazon, a warrior race in Star Trek Voyager, were persistent enemies of Captain Janeway and her crew. While not technologically advanced compared to the Federation, the Kazon's tribal factions and aggressive nature made them dangerous in numbers. Their attempts to capture Voyager and its technology, particularly during the early seasons, placed them in constant conflict with the Federation. Their lack of unity and internal squabbles often kept them from being a greater threat, but their relentless pursuit of Voyager put them on this list. 6. The Romulans. The Romulan Star Empire is one of the Federation's oldest and most cunning enemies. Introduced in Star Trek, the original series, the Romulans are characterized by their secrecy, manipulation, and advanced cloaking technology. Whether it was the Cold War-like tension depicted in Balance of Terror or the Romulan scheming during the Dominion War, they've always operated in the shadows. Their pursuit of power and willingness to destabilize the Alpha Quadrant, even using time travel and superweapons as seen in Star Trek 2009, make them one of the Federation's most enduring adversaries. 5. The Klingon Empire. Pre-allies. Before becoming one of the Federation's greatest allies, the Klingon Empire was a significant threat. During the era of Star Trek, the original series, the Klingons were portrayed as a ruthless, warrior-driven species whose expansionist ambitions often clashed with the Federation's ideals of diplomacy. The Cold War analogy was clear, with constant skirmishes and the ever-looming possibility of war. It wasn't until Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, that peace was brokered, marking the beginning of a vital alliance. But before that, the Klingons were among the most dangerous foes. 4. The Dominion. The Dominion, led by the shape-shifting founders, presented one of the greatest threats to the Federation during the events of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The Dominion War saw some of the bloodiest conflicts in Federation history, with the founders using their genetically engineered soldiers, the Jem'Hadar, and their manipulative diplomats, the Vorta, to sow chaos across the Alpha Quadrant. With vast resources, military prowess, and advanced biotechnology, the Dominion challenged the very core of the Federation's values. Their war efforts, combined with alliances with the Cardassians and Breen, pushed the Federation to its limits. 3. The Cardassian Union. Initially portrayed as an oppressive regime, the Cardassians were a constant thorn in the Federation's side throughout Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine. Their brutal occupation of Bajor, their secretive nature, and their intelligence agency, the Obsidian Order, made them formidable adversaries. Their alliance with the Dominion during the Dominion War,